Friends, I welcome you to my channel. Before listening to this story, I will ask you to like and subscribe. It is not difficult for you, but it is pleasant for me. And we're starting. Mr. Dela Cruz just hung up on a very happy man. Using my skills, I have just transferred over $10 million through 4 countries and 12 banks and successfully laundered his funds and protected him from any investigations by government authorities. My name is Tony Cardone. I have become well known and respected as a person who perfectly ensures the transfer of money, concealment of funds, protection of people from prosecution, and going to prison. I never ask where the money comes from, and I never interfere in their business to protect myself from the feds and keep my moral compass in the right direction. Oh, I know what these people do for a living, but I believe in the rule of don't ask, then they won't lie to you. The work I am doing has brought me good funds, and using my own strategies, I have 16 bank accounts in 8 countries, 10 crypto wallets, and a company that owns my house, cars, pays all my bills and expenses. I receive a salary from the company in the amount of $50,000 per year, which I use for unforeseen expenses. The company makes a small profit every year in order to remain legitimate in the eyes of the tax authorities. This strategy also protects me from any civil lawsuits, or divorces, since I show small net worth and very low income in the books. Many of my clients understand my value and offer me things that I cannot accept as gratitude for solving their money problems. They offer me women, travel, protection, just about anything you can imagine. I haven't taken anything from them so far. My current situation has created for me the need to accept some help in supervision, protection, and some aspects of forceful influence. My business friends were glad that they were finally able to help me and thank me for the work I had done for them. My wife, Jen, considers me a financial advisor, which I am. I am a certified financial consultant. She doesn't know how much I earn, what funds I have, or any of my offshore accounts. All she knows is that the company pays the mortgage on $5 million worth of real estate, cars, and expenses. She never really asked because she doesn't have to work. She drives a new luxury car every year and has an unlimited budget for shopping and entertainment. I thought Jen was happy and loved being with me for 5 years of our marriage. Jen was great in bed, where we often made love several nights every week. Jen and I dated for 2 years and got married at the tender age of 25. We've been married for 5 years. Jen had just turned 30. Blonde hair and amazing blue eyes could charm any man. Men always looked at her, and she was constantly molested, but she did not respond to any of their courtship and happily showed off her wedding ring and a 3-carat diamond ring, letting them know that she was married. Before we got married, I found out that she dated a man named Josh Winters in college. She was madly in love with Josh, but he wasn't ready to settle down. Instead, Josh enlisted in the Marines, and their relationship eventually came to naught. Now I found out that 8 years later Josh Winters quit his job and returned to our city, and Jen has never been able to overcome her love for him. When Josh returned from his 2 tours, he, of course, sought out old friends, including my wife. Jen was always under his spell, and after he got her cell phone number from a mutual friend, he texted and called her, trying to meet up like in the good old days. It was 6 weeks ago when Jen started acting differently, probably out of guilt for communicating with Josh and keeping it a secret. The excessive attention and extra games with me were pleasant, but unusual for Jen. She was always attentive and cheerful, but it was clear from her actions that something had changed. I didn't wait and paid closer attention to Jen. That weekend, one of our friends mentioned Josh at a barbecue and said he was back in town. I asked when he returned, and it coincided with the changes I noticed in Jen. The next day, I called one of my business friends and told him what was going on and that I might need his help. He was excited that he could finally do something for me after all the money I had earned for him and how I had kept him out of trouble with the feds. I gave him all the names and information, and he told me that they would contact me soon. Who knows what these guys are doing, but they very soon gave me a 4-inch dossier on Josh Winters, containing almost the entire story of his life and information. Everything from a copy of his birth certificate to his student records, family tree, and military records. I knew more about this guy than his own mother. I also received a daily printout of his text messages, including more than 15 messages a day to my wife. I was told not to ask where they got this information from. At first, the messages were friendly and the kind you would expect from an old friend, but after the first week, they became loving. I was glad to see that Jin had stopped his advances, but after another week of his persistence, he was finally able to overcome the barriers, and she started flirting back. My anger towards this predator grew because I knew that Jin still had feelings for this scumbag, and I realized that trouble was ahead of me. After 4 weeks of his flirting and texting, he convinced Jin to meet him for lunch. The dude even had the audacity to ask her to wear something beautiful for him because he missed her so much. To my horror, she agreed and even asked if she should forget her panties, like in the good old days. I was spitting blood when my anger reached a level I hadn't experienced in a long time. I asked my business partners for advice, and they gave me some ideas on how to handle this guy. We agreed that the best thing for me would be to meet them face to face while they were having lunch together, and there would be someone around to protect me if necessary. Of course, we knew exactly what time and where they would meet for my friend's surveillance team, which helped me with this problem. Thursday, I entered the restaurant and found them sitting in a secluded place. Jen was wearing a beautiful dress with a very low neckline and no bra, which infuriated me again. They were sitting with their backs to the restaurant, sitting together on one side of a separate booth. They looked pretty cozy. I saw a man following me, who I assumed was one of my bodyguards, as I approached their table. My wife and her date both looked at me when I said hello. "Hi, Jen," I said, slipping into the booth opposite them. The big man who had been watching me was now sitting 3 tables away from me. Looking at Jen with a friendly smile, I asked, "Aren't you going to introduce me to your friend?" The scene was tense as I sat there looking into Jen's eyes. Josh looked at me with an expression of confusion, but my wife was looking at me with a mixed expression of shock and guilt. They continued to sit side by side, holding hands on the table. After she realized what was going on, she tried to pull her hand out of Josh's, but now he held her tightly, giving me a smile that turned into a smirk, showing me that she was with him. This cocky bastard wasn't going to back down. "Honey, this is Josh Winters." "Josh, this is my husband Tony." I've never seen her so nervous. Josh seemed to find it funny and didn't say a word, but just kept giving me a knowing grin, as if to say, "I have your wife, and there's nothing you can do about it, buddy." Wasting no time, I just looked at Jen and said, trying to stay calm, "I hate to interrupt your lunch, but I need to talk to my wife for a few minutes alone. Could you let her out of the booth?" He reluctantly let go of her hand and walked out of the booth, allowing her to get out. She stood up, clutching her purse, standing between Josh and me, looking scared and worried. I took her by the hand and led her to the back of the restaurant, to the toilets. Still nervous and feeling guilty about being caught like this with Josh, she walked quietly without saying a word. I dragged her into an empty men's room and started talking. "Jen, you're not wearing a bra. You're dressed like a cheater, and I don't understand why you're being so disrespectful to me." She stood there and cried without saying a word. Then I lifted the hem of her dress to make sure she really wasn't wearing panties. "No panties. Is this how you dress when I'm not around? Jen, what the fuck are you up to? Are you becoming a city cheater? This is unacceptable behavior on the part of my wife." She screamed as she pulled her dress down. "No, that's not what it looks like. I know how it sounds, but I have a good explanation, and then you'll understand." I promised to explain. In a commanding and gloomy voice that she had never heard from me before, I spoke slowly, emphasizing every word. "Obviously, we need to discuss this. If you have any hope of staying married to me, you will do exactly what I say. If you don't, then don't bother coming home, because our marriage is going to end. Right now, you're going to grab your purse, walk out of here, looking straight ahead and not looking at your boyfriend. You're going to go straight to your car, go home, put on the coffee pot and wait for me to come back. I won't be more than 10 minutes late. You don't have to text or call your boyfriend or anyone else until we talk. I'm going to talk to your date and explain why you had to leave." I noticed that she didn't look me in the eye, and I guess it was because she felt guilty about being caught that way. "And one more thing, when you get home, don't change your clothes and stay in this dress. I want you to wait for me in the same way as you are now. If you don't do what I ask, then don't even come home tonight. Then I'll call you later and tell you how things will develop from now on." Jennifer, oh my God, what have I done? When Josh reached out to me, I was glad to know that he was safe and not serving in the army, as I was always worried about his safety. Josh was my first love, and it took me a long time to forget him after he dumped me years ago. We became estranged from each other, and even though there was no love between us anymore, I still thought about him. I know I love Tony, and he's been the love of my life since we met. I would never want to lose him or hurt him. That's why it's so lousy. Damn, Josh started flirting and telling me things that I like. He always had a way of making me do things and act like a schoolgirl, and I hated the fact that I couldn't resist. I tried to push him away, but his constant flirting and love messages exhausted me until I finally agreed to meet him for lunch. Talking to him made me feel so guilty and mean. I knew I shouldn't do this and that I should tell Tony about Josh coming back to town and that we talked, but I kept it a secret and I regret it more than I can imagine. Josh knows how to make me feel like I should be with him, and when he asked me to wear something beautiful, I agreed. I knew it was wrong and that I shouldn't even go to lunch with him, let alone wear that dress, but I knew I would do it. What made me suggest coming without panties? Am I really that shallow and stupid? Yes, when we were dating, he always insisted that I not wear them. And now that he invited me to lunch, it was like old memories just came back and became normal. I almost turned it down because I felt so guilty, but a text from Josh saying he couldn't wait to meet me led me down this path. It was hard not to tell Tony, but I just thought that one dinner for old time's sake wouldn't make much difference. Just for a couple of hours, like in the good old days, like he said. Josh knew how to get me to do something, even if I didn't want to. I'll be honest. When I saw him in the restaurant, I felt something inside of me. He always made me like this, and I knew that we had a special chemistry, and now he looked more beautiful than even I remembered. 8 years in the Marines have created such a mass of beautiful muscles that any woman could dream of. My face turned red as he kissed me and helped me into a secluded booth. It was like the good old days. We laughed, and it seemed to me that he never left. I felt happy and excited to be with him, and when he took my hand in his on the table, I felt safe and warm. We were only there for a few minutes, laughing and having fun, when Tony appeared out of nowhere in front of us, and the next thing I remember, he suddenly sat down right in front of us with a sadistic smile on his face that sent a chill down my spine. I felt my heart stop when I realized what I was doing and what it all looked like. When Tony looked down at the way we were holding hands, my world collapsed. I saw the pain and anger in his eyes, and I wanted to jump over the table and hug him and tell him how much I love him and take away his pain. I could never intentionally hurt Tony, but that's exactly what happened. The way he looked at me with disgust and contempt broke my heart. The man I love and have been with for the last 5 years was looking at me with another man, a former lover. I didn't know what to do, and I sat frozen and speechless. When Tony said he wanted to talk to me, my heart was breaking because I expected him to tell me that everything was over between us. When he dragged me into the men's room, I didn't know what to expect. And then when he pulled up my dress to show the fact that I wasn't wearing panties, I almost fainted. I can only imagine what he was thinking, and at that moment I felt like such a cheating wife. When he told me to go home and wait for him, I remember how it sounded. The way he behaved scared me to the core. I knew I had to listen to him to save our marriage and make him understand why I did it. I have to fix this and just agree to whatever he says. Then when he said he was going to talk to Josh alone, I was scared for him. Josh is much bigger than Tony, and having 8 years of Marine Corps training, I was afraid Tony might get hurt. I wanted to tell him not to do it, but I was confused. I tried to apologize, but Tony just told me to go home again and that he would be there soon. Then, when he told me not to change my clothes, I realized that I was in trouble and that it would be difficult for me to explain my actions. How did I let Josh talk me into this? I didn't want him in my life. I just wanted to relive the old days and have some fun, but looking at it from Tony's point of view, I looked like I was going to make love to Josh. Heck, how can I fix this? It seemed to me that everyone was looking at me as I walked through the restaurant to my car. I didn't dare look at Josh, and I knew he was wondering where I was going. It took me a few minutes before I stopped crying enough to go home. It was the longest ride I can remember. When I saw the pain in Tony's eyes, I burst into tears again. How could I do this to him? I can't believe I let Josh manipulate me like this, and somehow I have to make Tony understand and forgive me. Damn it, I'm so fucked up right now, and it's all because of Josh and my stupidity. When I got home, I put on the coffee and sat there wondering what had happened to their conversation. How long will it be before Tony gets home? Will he yell at me? Can I save our marriage? I need it. I don't want to live without Tony, and he needs to know that he's the only one I love and want to see in my life. A conversation with Josh. I went back to the table and chatted with Josh. Well, it looks like Jin's not coming back, and I just wanted to chat with you. I'm sure you know that Jin still has feelings for you, and she's easy to manipulate, as you've seen today and over the past few weeks. But you have to understand that she's married to me, and I'm not going to share her. I'm not a possessive or reckless person, so today I'm going to give Jen a choice. Stay in our marriage or leave me for you, but not together. She will make this decision on her own, without your influence. Let the best man win, and if she wants you, then so be it. But if she wants to stay in our marriage, she won't contact you anymore. If you don't hear from her today, I will expect that you will never call or write to her again. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Listen, dude, I'll call or text her whenever I want. She is an adult woman and makes her own decisions. She doesn't belong to you. I can guarantee one thing. She will be with me again eventually. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to put up with it, he said again with the same grin. Oh, Josh, I hope you're going to be a reasonable person. I mean, you're a handsome guy, big and muscular. I'm sure there are hundreds of single women who would love to have you. Why can't guys like you just leave married women alone? You see, Josh, you may be a big macho, good-looking guy that Jen still has feelings for, but you underestimate me. Listen, Josh, you don't know what I do for a living, or who I talk to, and that, my friend, is your first mistake. I know everything about you and what you've been doing. By the way, how are your parents, Michael and Ingrid? They really love their two dogs, Casey and Mickey, don't they? You know it's been over 4 years since you saw your sister Kate in Austin, and her 3 daughters are getting older and would like to see their Uncle Josh. Oh, and your best friend Billy's girlfriend is pregnant, and she's having a boy. I don't think she hasn't told him yet, but I'm sure he'll be thrilled. I've read all your text messages to Jen, and I have to say that you're persistent. Look, you may be a big dangerous dude, but the friends I have at my job are ruthless and owe me a lot. Now I grinned at him. Like you said, she can't resist you, but tonight we'll see who's the best man. Does she want a macho loser like you, or will she stay true to our 5-year marriage? You see, Josh, I'm going to be objective. I'll give her a choice. Her choice will be simple. She can choose to be with you and leave me and our marriage, and if that's her choice, I'll respect it and wish you both the best. I will not live with a woman who wants another man, and I will not share her. It's going to hurt, but I'd rather let her go now and move on. Now, on the other hand, if she decides to stay faithful, there will be some changes for her after her trick with you today. You two have undermined my level of trust, and it will need to be restored. As for you, if she stays with me, you won't mess with her anymore. This means no text messages, emails, phone calls, or contacts with friends. You will disappear from her life. If you walk into a restaurant and see her there, you'll turn around and leave. If you're at a party or a club and you see her, you'll leave. You will not do anything behind my back or try to contact her, because the pain you will experience will not be like anything you have experienced before. Your loved ones will pay for your stupidity. Do you understand what I said? Do you understand how serious I am? Josh sat with a stunned expression on his face, not knowing what to think. How the hell do you know so much about my family and my life? As I said, I have a lot of friends who owe me, and these friends are not the people you want to make love to. I may seem like a meek guy, but let's just say there's more to me than what you see. Are you really going to offer her the chance to leave you for me? I am a man of my word. Yes, if she were any other woman who showed me such disrespect as she did with you today, I would have kicked her out and would have already ruined her. But I love this woman and I will give her one chance, and only one chance. The other choice is to forget you, keep my wedding vows, and remain my faithful wife. If she stays with me, you will be dead to her, and you will no longer interfere with our marriage. Tony, I hope you keep your word about letting us live in peace, because I think she'll want to be with me. That's what she told me, and I know how much she wants me, Josh said, trying to sound confident and responsible. This guy was cocky, but I had to wonder if he was right. I'll find out soon enough. I got up to leave and said, I hope I never have to hear your name again or do anything I'd rather not do. But we'll see soon enough. As I was leaving, the man in the shadows stood up, gave Josh a long, angry look, and then left a minute after me. Josh received a message that I had a bodyguard and that he may have misclassified me as an innocent, meek husband. I was driving home wondering if this woman I loved so much would ever be in my bed again. Will she choose him and leave me, or will she stay true to her vows? When I entered the house, it was quiet. She sat nervously at the kitchen table and drank coffee with tears in her eyes. I poured myself a cup and sat down at the table opposite her. Jen, I know everything, including all your text messages to Josh. Before you ask me how I know, just keep in mind that I have a lot of friends from my business relationships who owe me several favors, and these are people you'd better not meet. Now I know you're sorry, so please don't say anything, because it doesn't make sense to me at the moment. You betrayed my love, and today you did something that I never expected or thought you were capable of. By putting it in front of me today, you have shown your disrespect for me as your husband. You know me, and I won't live with a woman who doesn't respect me, our vows, and the sanctity of our marriage. You know that there are many people who think that the definition of a cheating spouse is only when a spouse makes love to her lover. Some people think that kissing is not cheating. But in my world, the simple thought of being with another man is a deception. The conversations you had with Josh, the beautiful dress you wore without a bra, your suggestion that you come without panties, the way you sat together holding hands. In my eyes, all this separately, and even more so all together, is treason. You gave your love and attention to a man outside of our marriage. Yes, obviously there weren't any kisses that I know of, and that's the only reason we're still communicating and having this conversation. You should know that I will never share you with anyone, and I will not put up with a cheating spouse. I know how close you and Josh were, and I understand that you still have feelings for him. However, I also know that you are married to me, and I can tell you without a doubt that I will not share you with him or anyone else. The reason why I haven't kicked you out yet is that I love you madly and will do everything to keep us together. However, before I go any further, I have a question, and don't lie, because I may already know the answer. No, I swear. Never. No one has ever done this, only you. But you were willing to let him do it today, am I right? She lowered her head and began to cry again. I don't know. I wasn't going to do that, no. I'm so sorry about all this. I'm such an idiot. Please forgive my stupidity, Tony. Well, if he had touched you there, this conversation would have been over. It seems that apart from a few handshakes and a few text messages, nothing happened to end our marriage, although I am disappointed by your actions. Tell me, why are you wearing this dress? Tell me the truth. Were you planning to seduce him and get him into bed? Oh my God, no. I would never do that. It's hard to explain, but I just wanted to look beautiful for him and relive some of my old feelings. I know it was stupid and I was being selfish, but he just has a way of getting me to do something. I was never going to sleep with him. You have to believe me. Jen, I want to believe that, but all your actions today lead me to a serious question that I want to get an answer to. I told you I would never share you with another man. I also won't be married to a woman who is in love with another man and wants to be with him. I'm going to give you a choice, and I want you to think carefully about it, because once you choose, I will never accept betrayal or disrespect from you again. I know you love me, and I understand your past feelings for Josh, which is why I'm going to give you a choice. I want you to choose between Josh and your marriage. If you want to be with him, I'll let you go. I will treat you fairly in the divorce and let you both live in safety without any retribution. Or you can stay in our marriage, stay faithful to me, and keep your wedding vows. A simple choice with long-term consequences. Now, if you choose Josh, I'll ask you to leave the house with your things by the weekend, and I'll start the divorce proceedings immediately. If you want to stay married, you're not going to mess with Josh anymore. Not today, not ever. That means he'll be dead to you. Then I went on to lay out the same requirements that I had told Josh, never to be in the same place at the same time, and that I would know if that happened. She agreed without any hesitation. So, Jen, you have a get out of jail card today. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You have to choose between your ex-lover and your loving husband. I'm going to take a shower, and when I get back, I need an answer. Choose wisely. Even before I left the kitchen, she blurted out. Of course I choose you, honey. I love you, and I don't want anyone else. Jen, you betrayed me today. I heard what you just said, but I want you to sit here for a while and think it over. If we stay married, you'll need to rebuild the trust we once had. You will also need to help me overcome the pain and anger that you have caused, which will not be easy. Take your time and give me your answer after I get back. Considering your actions today and your feelings for Josh, this is too big a decision for you to just make it without some deep inner reflection, I said, leaving her crying with her head in her hands. I took my time to shower and get dressed, and when I returned to the kitchen, she ran up to me, hugged and kissed me. Tony, I will never leave you, and I will never do anything like this again. I promise I'll make it up to you and be the perfect wife. I'm your wife, and I want your children, so please don't leave me. You're the only man in my life. I love you, she said, kissing me and hugging me tighter than ever before. We kissed and hugged each other for a few minutes, and then I carried her to our bed and got my wife back. Then she pulled me closer and kissed me gently. We hugged each other in silence for an hour, until the world around us disappeared. We were husband and wife again, and we both knew that nothing would ever come between us again. Josh the next day. Heck, she didn't call me, so I think she decided to stay with this jerk. I can't believe it. The way we got along and the way she behaved really made me think that she would want to stay with me. I know that if I had been able to get her into bed that day, she would have dumped Tony in the blink of an eye. Her husband really messed up my plans. Who is this guy, and how does he know so much about me and my family? Well, I'm not done yet, and I think I can get her back. I'm sorry, Tony, but you're going to lose this girl. Tony, 3 days after the confrontation. A few days later, the idiot Josh still had the idea to send a message to Jen, trying to convince her to leave me and be with him, which didn't surprise me. The good news was that Jen showed me a text message and didn't reply to it. I told her that I had already seen his message and was glad that she had not replied, and told her that showing me the text was a reasonable step towards repairing our trust issues. The next day, I sent Josh a text asking if his parents had managed to find Casey and Mickey. Josh immediately called his parents and found out how hurt they were when they discovered they were missing. Josh realized that he had hurt them by contacting Jen after Tony warned him not to. I made them disappear for a few days, under good supervision, just so Josh would know how serious I was. Josh called me back right after talking to his parents. What the fuck? What did you do? They better be alive, or I swear I'm going to kill you, you bastard. Well, Josh, you won't be able to kill anyone. If anyone is going to die, it's you, my friend. I warned you not to mess with Jen, but you did. I also told you that if you contact her, you will feel pain that you have never experienced. The first time it's just a little shake-up. Now I'm sure the dogs will be back soon, but let me be clear. This is your last warning. Don't ever mess with Jen again. Am I making myself clear? Yes, but they better come back in good shape. Josh, because you ignored my words, I'm going to do whatever the hell I see fit, and you're going to have to deal with the results of my actions. Now, since you just threatened me, they may come back in good shape, or they may not come back at all. I haven't decided yet, but your tone doesn't make me feel merciful. In fact, now I'm not sure if they'll come back at all. How does that sound, asshole? I wonder if mom and dad should know why their precious puppies are missing? Maybe I should call them. What do you think about it, asshole? Okay, I'm sorry. Please return them and I'll stay away, I promise. That's better, but next time it won't be the dogs that disappear. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Accepted. I understand. I promise I'll stay out of her life, and you won't hear from me again. So, when will they be returned? They'll just be coming home soon. Josh, you know I'm 1,000 miles away. I can't control everything, and these people I'm involved with have their own opinions, but I'll talk to them and see what I can do. Josh, I really hope that we never have to have a conversation again, because next time we won't talk, and you'll be dealing with much more serious problems. At 3 a.m. the next night, Josh's distraught parents cried with joy as their beloved dogs barked on their porch. They never found out what happened, where they were, or that it was their son who hurt them. Josh heard the news and was relieved when the dogs returned. He even sent me a one-word message after we returned them saying, "Thank you." Josh finally realized the situation, stayed away from Jen, and found a job in another city a few hours away. He tried to find out more about Tony, but he could not find out more than the publicly available information that Tony was just a financial advisor. Josh realized that the information about Tony was sealed, and decided to move on and start a new life without his old hobby. While Josh was alive, I knew there was a chance he could come back into her life. So 2 weeks after the incident, I handed Jen a post-nuptial agreement prepared by my lawyer. According to it, she agreed to give up everything, including the rights to all children that would be born to us during our marriage, because of any infidelities. Of course, it couldn't prevent a repeat of her last encounter with Josh, but she had enough incentive to think about the consequences. Between my newfound attention to her and her realization that I will constantly check on her, along with the post-nuptial agreement, we will weather any future storms that may come our way. About a year later, Jen became pregnant with her first child, and now the couple was closer than ever. Jen realized how close she was to messing up her life and dedicated herself to making Tony happy and strengthening the family. No one else mentioned Josh, and it was as if he had never existed. One day could have broken everything forever, but Tony's love and attitude to shit saved their marriage.